Welcome to the second chat of the day. Hope we're getting a little bit of rest from the sun. I certainly am. I'm probably glowing like a strawberry, but never mind. Fußball and Husna Chhoangalia.
Hello, hello. How are we doing? Woo! Okay. So before we start, for those of you who were at the chat this morning, I found out quite late on into the conversation that I was sharing the stage with a Tottenham fan. So to avoid that situation now, as an Arsenal fan, I'd like to ask you which teams you support. Amelie, it's a little bit on the nose for you. But Maria, who is your football team?
Okay, so this might be an unpopular opinion in Germany today, but I'm definitely supporting Spain right now in the European Championship.
Okay.
I know, polemic. I'm definitely all in for Spain. I come from Spain, I can't avoid it.
Do you have a favorite player in the squad at the moment?
Honestly, no, because...
No.
I have to say no, because I like so many of them that I cannot choose. Yeah,
okay,
that's really tough.
Fair enough. I thought you were going to go for the 16-year-old. I have been watching his TikToks. He's doing a lot of dances in between game time.
I love him.
Yeah, he's great. Amelie, Arsenal fan, but in the Euros, are you supporting England?
I am supporting England in the Euros.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're bringing it home.
Let's see about that.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful goal from Bukayo Saka last night, who is an Arsenal player, just saying. So he's my favourite player.
Isn't he everyone's? Yeah, when he got up to take the penalty yesterday, that was stressing.
Yeah, that was, nightmares from last year. Well, not last tournament, yeah. So, but it all went very well. So let's see, fingers crossed.
Sweet. So part of this discussion, what we're doing is we want to highlight sort of people in the local communities that are doing really great things through football. So Maria, you work for an organisation called Safe Hub. Can you tell us a little bit about that organisation and what they do?
Sure. So the name says a lot already. So what we try to do is to create safe spaces, and to do that through sports and football in particular. And those safe spaces are mainly for children and youth, but also for anyone in the community. The way we do it is that we have basically three pillars or three components. One is the physical space. So we have a football pitch in the middle of Wedding, Leopoldplatz. You're all very welcome to join us there and kick with us a little bit. And a building, a multifunctional building beside it. It's not built yet in Berlin, but it will be. In the meantime, we are using a container infrastructure with a workshop room and some spaces where we can also gather and protect ourselves from the Berlin weather. We have our own programs. In our programs, basically, children and youth, they're able to develop life skills, social competencies, their own value framework, without even realizing. So the idea is that they do not know they are going into those education programs, but they're simply there to play football. And that's the way in which we try to develop that. And the third pillar is that we do not see ourselves as an isolated actor, but as a platform for all organizations who share that vision. So at the moment, we have 17 organizations using the pitch every week. We have other partners using the workshop container. And just right now, during the European Championship, we had 3 different events with 3 to 4 different partners. So that's really the idea. So again, they are the invitation. Any organization who shares that, who wants to partner up for that, we're really open to that. And that's how we hope to be giving children, youth, better life chances in the end.
That's incredible. And you said that you do one of the pillars is life skills, but you don't market it as life skills. They sort of learn through football. Is that because if you're like, let's learn this skill, there would probably be a resistance to it, so you kind of have to weave it into other things?
Absolutely. So we are trying to reach those kids who would never join an education program, but would always join a football game.
Yeah.
And that's really the kids that we are trying to reach.
That's incredible. Such a great way to do it. And Amelie, you have recently started coaching your football team, but that's a fairly new thing. How did you get into that, and how are you finding it?
So I coach for the 4th team, the beginners development team for Internazionale FC. I've been coaching them for a couple of months now, and I'm also now coaching the 3rd team, who is like a league team. They're going to be starting their season in late August this year, so very excited for that. I started because I played football for many years, and we struggled to find a coach who would be like consistently there. Obviously, it's a voluntary position; like people are super busy, and we just needed someone who shared the same vision as us, and like really wanted to create a space where people of all like levels were welcome, and people could learn. They could also we had some matches that we played, like friendlies with other teams. We needed someone who had the kind of motivation to reach out and organize. And we just couldn't find that person, so I became that person.
Nice.
Yeah.
How have you found it so far?
I love it. I mean, it's my team. Like, I've already played for them for almost like 4 years now. So I know them all super well. They're my friends. And I feel like a lot of responsibility to keep like the spirit of the team the same, because I think there's lots of teams in Berlin where you can go and play quite competitive football, but it's also good to have spaces where you don't have to feel that pressure of competition. You can also just go and like it's social and like pick up basically. So I really enjoy it. Loving it so far.
What kind of touchline manager are you? Like a Jurgen Klopp tracksuit, or like a Pep, sort of slightly smarter?
I'm a very smart sideline manager, yeah.
But a three-piece suit? Or?
Three-piece suit, starch iron shirt. No, I'm joking. No, I think I wear like a tracksuit usually for our game so far. But actually, not dissimilar to this, I'd say. You've always got to be ready to catch a ball that's going out, and you can't do that in smart shoes. So
No, not with a waistcoat holding you back.
Pop a button.
Oh no, God forbid. Maria, the Safe Up organisation sounds really great. You said that you reach children that would usually not sort of seek out a program like that. First of all, what sort of communities are you working with? And then how do you target them if that's something that you wouldn't usually do?
So we work very locally, so not only in Berlin, but Safe Hub was born in South Africa, and we have also programs in the US, in India, in Côte d'Ivoire. And what we try to do is to work with the local communities that are usually marginalized or have worse access to certain resources. And for us, resources are things like positive role models. That's a resource that for us is super important, that the kids get access to that. Who is someone who they can identify with and that they can look up to. And that's the way that we try to work. So all our coaches and playmakers, they are the ones working with the children, and they are really much younger than I am. They are the real local. They are the real local heroes. They are young people who come from the neighborhood, who also have a much closer cultural background to the children. In Wedding and in our the children that we work with, there is around 65 to 70% of migrant community. We work with a very large population of children who are at risk of poverty or who cannot join any other after-class activities because they would cost money. And then our programs are free of charge and they can join those programs. No? And that's also the way that we reach them, is not by saying this is an education program, here you're gonna learn something, but simply here you can play. And here you can be happy playing. And look at who's going to play with you. It's this group of young, engaged people who you can identify with, who are, our youngest coaches are 15 years old. So they're really young. They're from 15 to 22 years old. And they're going to have great fun with you. And then on the way, they carry on a lot more things like that. Opportunity for growth, fair play values are huge for us. And having the opportunity to learn a lot more than just how to play football.
Yeah. And is it really important to have sort of role models that are from similar communities so they can see actually, they can envision themselves doing the same because they can identify with them?
Exactly, exactly. And that goes from, let's say, the way that kids dress, right? Because they have their own fashion styles when they're young, things that also they watch on TikTok, like all of these things are super important that they can identify with their coaches, but also things like their religious background, the languages they speak at home, and then also even the sort of language they use, right? So what kind of language they use to communicate, what are things that they all say, and that's the way that they understand each other. And that's why it's really important for us that it's people from the community, from the also geographical area, and from more or less the same age group, so that they feel that closeness to them.
Yeah, for sure, so important. And Amelie, you've sort of taken on the football coach position, stepped up when no one else would. Can you talk about maybe some of the challenges that you faced that you didn't foresee?
As a coach or as a team?
As a coach.
As a coach, I think it's tough. So you're working with like children and people under the age of like 18. Most of the people who are on my team are 30 plus. So lots of we need to be very flexible with the team because a lot of people have kids. They have competing responsibilities. We also are very democratic in like when we play and where we play, but we are oftentimes kind of like moved around quite a lot as like a development women's team. We are we don't get like the first pick of where we're playing, which is understandable. The club has many teams, but it is also reflective of sometimes feeling a little at the end.
Right.
But I would say that, it's a lot about stakeholder management, if you want to professionalize it. People have a lot of different opinions. You have a whole team of people with very international, as I said, like a variety of age groups, but skewing a little older. We have differing levels of football as well. So when we're playing matches, you see like a variety, and it's just about like understanding why people are there, and it's not necessarily that these people are trying to go pro. Like they're really just here to have a good time, and that kind of like environment really needs to be like, it's very sacred, I think, for us.
Yeah. And then also maybe on the flip side, you said coach or person. Has there been any challenges that you've faced while you've taken this role on, not being a coach and being sort of friends and players with them?
I wouldn't say so much. I'd say it's just about like, relationship management. But I think in general, some of the barriers that we face are like secure and accessible changing facilities, like having opportunities to play at other teams. It's kind of the opportunity or the barriers that women face playing sport across Europe. I mean, it's pretty universal, and it really does exist at the local as well as the like national and across the EU.
Yeah. Can you talk about some of those barriers that women and girls face getting into football?
Sure. So, after the age of 14, girls are twice as likely to drop out of sport, which means that they are not having access to the same kind of opportunities as boys are. Women are, like, there's 35% of women in the EU who are playing football or playing sport weekly, as opposed to 47% of men. But that data is not even disaggregated by disability, by race, by class, by migration background. So we don't even know how far that would skew. Women are more likely to be working part-time. They have less accessible disposable income. So sports memberships are expensive. Like to play, as you were saying, like to play organized sports, it's not always free. Women are also more likely to be taking on childcare responsibilities than men are. It happens on our team. People end up having to make a birthday cake or a costume for school, and they just can't come to this one thing that they do per week. So it's very real, very like felt within the team, and it's very reflective across, I think, pretty much all sports in the EU.
Yeah, that's so interesting about a birthday cake or something like that. That's just like a burden that you don't really think of, but when it comes into that, then means that you can't regularly play on a team. It's super interesting and such a barrier. And then, Maria, are there any sort of specific programs at Safe Hub for girls and young women to sort of get into football, kind of tackling some of these barriers that they may face otherwise?
Yes, we are fully aware of those barriers. We see what you were talking about. We see that on a daily basis in the trainings, but also with our female coaches as well. And we try to take that into consideration and to work a lot with it and sometimes against it, of course. And we have our specific female programs. So for girls of any age, actually, they're called Girls Hub. We do that in our pitch, but we also go to schools because we realize that girls are much more likely to join a program that is in their school directly than coming somewhere else. So that's something that we try to take into consideration. They're usually a little bit earlier as well, because especially in winter, once it gets dark, it's also harder for them to join. And it's not only a safe space emotionally for them, but also physically. So at the time when we have Girls Hub in our pitch, no boys can enter.
Okay.
And all our Girls Hub program are, of course, coached only by female coaches, because that's something that we've also realized is missing. So that female role model and that looking up to a female coach, but also having the understanding from your coach. That happens much easier when you have that female role model. And I think part of the work or part of the impact we have on girls is through the work we do with young boys.
So interesting.
This for us is super interesting to also witness, because in the end, our female coaches also coach boys and mixed groups.
Right.
And the way that they grow to respect them as a person, not only as an authority figure in the pitch, the way they grow to respect them and even admire as a person, then changes the whole dynamic whenever girls join the mixed teams. So that's something that's very interesting, and we hope that the girls who are now at Girls Hub will grow to be our coaches, part of them, and that will feed onto that whole system, let's say, and that's really what we're hoping to be able to impact.
That's incredible. And I think sometimes we put a lot of onus on education on women, but then young boys, I mean, if you can get it at the source, right, that's so impactful.
Exactly, and in the end, we put a lot of work and effort on this components for girls and young women, but in the end, 80% of our participants are still young boys.
Yeah.
And this is something that we try to also take into consideration so that we don't only work on female empowerment through Girls Hub, but through everything else that we do.
That's incredible. And you said that girls are more likely to join if it's associated with their school as opposed to coming sort of with their own initiative to Safe Hub. Why is that? Why do you think that happens?
So we think there are two components to this, and this is something we've tried to talk about with them a lot and with their families. One of them is that they feel more protected because it is an environment that they already know. So it is something that is already there, it's directly after school, and just like these walking distances, nor distances to go somewhere, they're not there anymore. So it's something that we see does change the how likely they are not only to join, but then how it affects the retention as well for them to stay. And the other thing is that whether they're able to play with their friends or not plays a super important role. So we realize that, for instance, sometimes we have trainings where if one girl is not coming, suddenly the whole group of friends of 6 other girls, they're not coming just because someone cannot join. No? So this is something that we really see. And in the school, it's for us, it's easier to try to involve bigger groups of girl friends who just want to come and join together.
Yeah, sort of safety in numbers kind of thing.
Absolutely, sure.
And Amelie, I want to ask you why, well, actually, both of you, maybe Amelie first, why you think football and community are so important.
Well, I think that football is really a maker of community. I think that they definitely go hand in hand. I think it provides an opportunity for shared purpose, shared goal. It is very much a very accessible sport. It's something which is, the most popular sport in the world. People know how to play it, and it's not impossible to make a pitch out of your jumpers in a park. You know, you put the goalposts up, it's very easy. I would also say that, especially for marginalized groups within society, I would argue that, in fact, football is even more important, or sports are more important to find common, a community, common interests, and protection in numbers. I think it is very much a driver of change. I don't think it's the silver bullet for many of the problems that we have, but I think it can definitely be one of the solutions to some of the issues that we're facing today.
Yep.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you said, Amelie. And maybe just to add on that from our experience at the pitch, I think identity and belonging, as you were saying, are so key to football and to community. And we've been now, during the European Championship, organizing some public viewings for the kids, for the families. And no matter what team they were supporting, that kind of feeling of belonging and that shared emotional experience was so strong that really built the community, you know? And this is what's also important for us, is the ability or how football enables people to take many different roles, not just playing, but some are playing, then parents are watching, then others are cheering, then there are our colleagues who take care of the balls, and our colleagues who take care of security in events. No? So those many different forms to engage in a community, I think that's something that's really powerful from what we see at the pitch as well.
And I mean, it sounds like you said, it's a big community hub. Families will come as well of their kids who are playing. Have you ever received any feedback from the parents about what you're doing at Safe Hub?
Yes, this is, we receive feedback quite regularly from the parents who are there more often, but we just on Friday received a very beautiful form of feedback during the graduation of the playmakers. So we basically have this program through which we accompany young people during a period of 9 months. They become coaches at the pitch. They grow as coaches, but then we also have some employability components. We try to bring them into vocational training. And we had the first ever graduation of Playmakers in Berlin on Friday.
Oh, lovely.
And
So nice.
yes, thank you. That was exciting. Yes. Thank you. It was a really beautiful and emotional event, of course. And then we had, of course, a technical difficulty. And as I solved the technical difficulty, my colleague Julia, who did a wonderful moderation of the event, just gave the room to everyone who was there, no? Kids and parents, to say whatever they wanted to say about the Playmakers. And I was expecting the usual comments of like, yes, it was fun to play football with you. But I was really impressed because both the kids and the parents came up themselves with actually sharing with the Playmakers how much they valued the space that they gave the children and the way that they had allowed children to grow. And this is something that was beautiful to hear from the parents themselves saying, we are going to miss you because it was so beautiful to see your kids grow with you and through the programs. No? And I have to say, I was even a little bit impressed. Of course, very happy to hear that. So I do think that it has become an important anchor for many of the families in the community.
Yeah. I also feel like any ceremony isn't complete without a technical hitch. So just like a baptism,
Totally.
has to happen. And can you think of an example or a particular sort of child that has gone through the program that you can tell us about and sort of their story and the impact that you had on them?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot, right? But I think maybe from the Playmakers is the ones where we have followed the process a little bit more closely. And I'm just thinking about one of them, a female playmaker who arrived to the program not even playing football, like just like, okay, let me come here, earn some money, because we do pay for these programs. It's a very important part of what we do.
Of course.
And let me be here, earn some money, and hopefully I'll learn something on the way, no? Yeah. And it turned out that then in the graduation, many of the kids expressed how grateful they were for the way that she was able to talk to them and the way that she motivated them to never give up. This was the main sentence, no? That they had learned with her how to never give up. And it's beautiful because we see that journey from just coming out of this very relaxed interest of let me make some money here and see if I can do something, to growing to be that role model to children and to the self-confidence that she had in the end being that for them, no? And this has happened with many of our Playmakers. They're very self-reflected people who have grown a lot throughout the program. One of them just started an internship with a partner that they got to know through the program.
Oh, wow.
And it's really beautiful to see that growth in only 9 months.
Yeah. And I mean, within both of your communities, you're doing really great things and you're helping people individually. Amelie, why do you think football is such a great tool for change?
I think that playing football gives people the opportunity to build a lot of confidence. I think I've seen it a lot with some of the people who joined our team who maybe played 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or had never played at all. And you see people joining who started like apologizing for every time they missed the ball or not stepping up or feeling a little nervous, to really like absolutely thriving and like, you know, being vocal on the pitch and calling to like asking for the ball themselves. Like you see it just such a massive transformation. And I think, it gives people the opportunity to exceed in something, to also feel like a part of something. And I think that definitely translates into their everyday lives. And I think it's a great vehicle of change.
Yeah. And Maria, sort of similar question to you. You've got these 3 pillars and you're teaching these kids skills without sort of directly teaching them. Why do you think football is a good vehicle that can do that?
I think change is extremely hard, and I think it is made a little bit easier when you have an enabler that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think football is exactly that enabler that you actually enjoy, and that's what we see with the kids. They love to come and play, and then change is much easier. And I think, as Amelie was saying, we see such progress and such change in the pitch at individual level, on the good side of like feeling accomplished, feeling they have learned something, done something, but also learning to deal with the frustrations that come with football, because inevitably they're going to lose some games, they're going to have difficulties learning new skills. And that dealing with frustration and with their own emotions, with their anger, that then also translates in being able to deal with the opposite team, being able to deal with the relationships in their own team. And in the end, it does have this impact on the community, you know? And maybe just to share another beautiful anecdote that we had a few weeks ago, because we were preparing an event. So we were already there in the very early morning, our coach is setting up everything for the event. And an older woman, she was already maybe late 70s, came and asked to take a picture of the football pitch. I was like, of course, she took a picture with one of these digital cameras that I had not used for ages.
Like a Canon. I mean, those are coming back now, though.
This was really nice to see that back on.
A lot of Gen Zs have got them.
Yes.
Like, if only you knew the troubles.
Exactly. And she took a picture and then she shared, I've been living here forever, I've been living here my whole life, and I just love to see the energy that this brings to the community. And I do feel that I come a little bit more from the social transformation and peace building field, and I do have the sensation that sometimes we focus a lot on the negative, on what's not working, on the things that are not right in the community, and all of those negative aspects. And it was so great to hear that this focus on something nice, positive, on this hope, on like kids cheering and being happy, that actually has or brings in a change for a woman who probably never even stepped a foot into the pitch, but she just feels it from the surrounding, no? And I think that's also a potential for change that indirectly happens.
And that's so telling, because she's lived her whole life in that community, and she's like seeing this burst of energy that young people have brought, which can be, people aren't always receptive to that, but it seems like you've done it in a really, really great way.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it sounds
We're
great.
trying.
I want to ask you both sort of like a final question on why you love football.
Community.
Do you love football?
I was thinking, I was like,
long pause, long pause.
actually, no,
I hate it.
I think it's been very much like the topic of this conversation so far is community. I think I came to football a little later. I think I started when I was like 19. I didn't play as a child. I was not a team sports person. And I started playing in my bachelor's of university. And I really found like a community, like it allowed me to meet people from different parts of the country. Despite, you know, moving city, a lot of my friends were from the same kind of like world as I was until I started playing football and met people from everywhere. And that's something which I've really found, no matter where I've played, in which country or in which city, it really is an opportunity to kind of find common ground across, any difference, not all differences, but most differences. And have this shared passion. It also allows you to create lasting friendships. I have friends all over the world now because of it, and it's something that I truly value.
Lovely.
I have to say I'm a bit of the black sheep usually in the football community because I've never played.
That's
I don't really play.
That's
I know.
okay.
Husna doesn't play either.
I don't play either. Thanks for that.
And to be honest, I didn't even really like football that much before. I know, that's even worse. And I think I was, in my mind, there were a lot of these negative aspects, of football, like, were very predominant. And I have grown to love football, and mostly through this job and through what we do. And it's exactly because of the same reason. So this feeling of belonging and community, I don't think that I have ever had experiences that had a unifying factor that was as powerful as football.
Yeah.
And this is super beautiful to see, even for someone who does not necessarily play or is necessarily like emotionally involved with the teams. It's beautiful the impact it can have. And I think that's why I've been able to grow to love it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such a great tool for change, right? It anchors a lot of people, and that's how you see the impact. Thank you so much for your time. It was really great, learned a lot. Please do follow Safe Hub. Is it on Instagram, or like, can people donate money to the scheme? What can they do to help?
Absolutely, thank you. That's
Of
actually
course.
great. Yes, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Safe Hub Berlin, and also Safe Hub Global if you're interested in the other projects that we have around the world. And we're always happy to partner up, to find partners. If you think that you have something that might, we're even open for workshops at our pitch or during our holiday camp for extra activities, anything where if anyone has an idea that can contribute, that can help us multiply that impact, we're super happy to hear that.
Incredible. And Amelie, you need a tailor for a three-piece suit, but also some players, right?
Yes, we are always open to anyone who's looking to play football. If you've played before, if you've never played before, if you're really good, join our team.
Especially then.
Yeah, it's Internationale FC, but also Flinterfuchs is our team. So yeah, come on, come all.
Great. Thank you so much. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Please give it up for Husna, Maria, and Amelie.